Welcome to Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. This is your host, Dr. Honest. Mr. Honest. Sorry, I'm really into Doctor Strange right now, which is a good thing because today we are finally covering Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's a long time overdue. I wanted to give this episode the justice it deserved. Sometimes when I go see movies in theaters and come home to review them, my brain's a little scattered and I need to wait to, analyze it at home and be able to post a better episode than I ever could just by watching it once. I love this movie. I watched it 2 times this week. I can't help but when I'm doing these breakdowns on bigger movies that I'm not as familiar with, I think it's really important to actually watch it a second time, which I always thought would be weird, and it's hard to do at first. You're like, why would I watch it when I just saw it? But think about all the hours of work that went into this movie. Think about all the passion and the amount of people that worked on it, and you saw it one time and you don't think you maybe missed a thing or two? I absolutely love the second time rewatch, and to be honest, it was with the commentary on Disney Plus. If you look at the extra section in Marvel movies, more or less, this isn't for every movie on Disney Plus or every show. If you look at the extras, it'll have a commentary a lot of the times with the Marvel or the bigger releases. So I watched the second time Sam Raimi talking about the movie as it happened, and it was just a lot of fun. If I could sum up to you what they talked about, well, everything as it came. And I did find myself, even though I loved listening to Sam Raimi and the writers, I was really trying to hear the movie over them at some points, and I just had seen it days before. It just goes to show how strong this movie is. It had a lot of build-up and anticipation. We knew Doctor Strange was going to be in this movie, I think even back when WandaVision came out. And Doctor Strange is the closest to touching the multiverse, and the first, in my opinion. You can argue that Wanda was in a different reality, but it wasn't another universe. It was a self-created dome. Doctor Strange is the first person from 616 in our MCU timeline to travel to another universe and have his conflict span across a few different worlds. Doctor Strange was starting to dabble in the multiverse, and we learn a little bit through the multiverse in the show What If. There's a lot of possibility for Doctor Strange to be a very bad guy or a bad guy, but not a super good guy, a very good guy. And I feel like the Doctor Strange that we have is maybe the best, if not the most important version of Doctor Strange in every universe. That's just a theory. We could talk about that a little bit later. The first trailer for this was in the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home, and it really amped up excitement. And Doctor Strange's role in Spider-Man No Way Home was integral, and the fact that we got him being a side character in a huge movie, not even a few months ago, to going into his own movie, this was a really exciting thing. And we knew the Scarlet Witch would turn evil, but we don't ever see Wanda like we've seen her in this movie. And from what I hear, there's some fan tension on that topic, so we can touch on that just a little bit. To the people who have been saying they didn't go to enough universes, this is called the Multiverse of Madness. Where is the rest of the multiverse? Just because it's in my head right now, I might as well just say it. This is the first time we're venturing into the multiverse. So we need general viewers, people who don't go home and watch the movies 5 times, or who just watched a few Doctor Strange movies, and we need the kind of simplicity, the idea of the multiverse, and we need to be introduced to it as an audience of the MCU. So this movie doesn't go to a million universes. When he's traveling to this one with America Chavez, great new character, excited to talk more about her. But we go to universe 838, and it's a whole other world with different rules, different Avengers. They're not even called the Avengers. And it is madness. He's on the run from the Scarlet Witch, who's possessing bodies. And this movie's a horror film slightly because of Sam Raimi. That's what he's big on. Also doing the original Spider-Man trilogy. We're talking a lot of Sam Raimi movies lately. I could tell that a special filmmaker, without even knowing it was Sam Raimi, and I probably should have, with some of the special moments, special effects, just the pacing of the movie, I could tell that there's some good hands on this film. So it was Sam Raimi directing. It was kind of promoted as a MCU's first real horror film. I think something like it's more of a special. Werewolf by Night probably fills that role a little bit better. However, I could see where that is coming from. Doctor Strange, he goes through a lot in this movie as a character. He comes to accept things that he hadn't in the beginning of the movie. Although Doctor Strange isn't doing well at the beginning of the movie emotionally, we just can kind of feel that because Benedict Cumberbatch is such a good actor that when Christine, he's on the balcony at Christine's wedding and they have a moment and they never really quite figured it out. And Doctor Strange was asked by Christine if he's happy. And he says, yeah, of course I'm happy. And she said, good, because you deserve it. And that tells me that he's not happy. He's probably very sad about Christine. We learn more about like the real, true, deep down love he has for Christine in Marvel's What If Doctor Strange lost his heart, not his hands. One of my favorite, if not my favorite episode of Marvel's What If, which I think is getting canceled after a third season, which breaks my heart. But if we're getting a third season, that makes me happy because they can wrap things up in a way. Because there is an overarching story in that show. And Doctor Strange, the evil Doctor Strange from Marvel's What If, I mean, I don't mean to call him evil, but he is like the devil version of Doctor Strange. A lot of fans in the trailer thought that that sinister Strange we meet kind of at the end, who's like, I'll give you the Darkhold if I can have your Christine. I'm like, ugh. You reminded me of that Doctor Strange in Marvel's What If. But I think Marvel's What If was just setting the stage for what dark Doctor Strange can look like, to the lengths that this hero turned villain will go. I don't think I ever talked about the Cloak of Levitation and just how great of a tool that is, and how the way that he got it in the first movie. I love it. And the Cloak of Levitation is a silent character, and there's moments. It has moments. I like this. I like the Cloak of Levitation so much. I'm sorry, Cloak of Levitation, for not talking about you last week. So Doctor Strange at the very beginning, as we talked about last week, he was very arrogant. You can kind of compare him to Tony Stark a little bit, where he's like shook and humbled by maybe his blind side. It's just the fact that they form into two completely different superheroes, but it's just very cool to see how similar they are. And to see them meet up in Infinity War was that much more exciting. This is post-Infinity War. Doctor Strange had a huge part in saving the universe and saving half of humanity with that 1 in 14 million chances of them winning, and there's only one. That means a lot. And the Doctor, he's from the first movie. That Doctor Strange in the first movie tells him off because the guy seemed like he was dead, and he was not really dead. Doctor Strange was a little arrogant about that. He sits next to him in the church where Christine's getting married. We don't know that yet. And he asks Doctor Strange, was this the only option, the way that you did it? Was there any other way? And with a slight bit of hesitation, Strange finally says, yes, this is the only way. I weighed the options. We learn the doctor that he's talking to lost his cats and he was snapped. So there's setting up and just kind of showing a little bit of the world post-snap, how people are traumatized. There's things like that happened in so many different ways. There's probably mothers or fathers who remarried. There's significant people that have died from one of the snap people's lives. this, even this heroic event of all the people coming back is causing a lot of stress on a lot of people. So Thanos is still hurting us, even though he's been long gone. And what do we meet? Like 3 other Doctor Strange variants. One at the very beginning of the movie. He speaks Spanish. He's already with America Chavez, so her journey is in full swing. It's like they're at the end of their movie, being chased by this crazy creature, wherever the Book of Ashanti is located. And oh man, what a good opening scene. So many visual effects. That monster was so cool. We do learn that Scarlet Witch is the one summoning these monsters and chasing America Chavez through the multiverse. This comes down to the moment where they're having the street fight during the wedding with this giant one-eyed tentacle monster that's also invisible until Strange reveals it, which I thought was really cool. We get to see like a lot of magic, a lot of different kinds of magic that Doctor Strange has accumulated over the years. That big first fight, it was something I think that it didn't necessarily need to be a part of the movie, but it was that kind of next level thing to bring people in and get us involved and really connected, because it's a big superhero fight in the streets of New York City. And I love the dynamic that just subtly she mentions that her new husband is a crazy fan of Doctor Strange. So I wonder how that bodes back at home. I don't know. I still sense a connection between Christine and Steven. And I don't know if it's going to work out with the guy she's with right now. And Doctor Strange will, end up getting the girl, kind of as you'd say. But he's not a conventional superhero. Right? He pretty much is a leader. Like, he could be like the leader of the Avengers. In my eyes, in an unofficial way, the way that he knew the path to go to win the battle with Thanos with the snap in the 5 years, he pretty much decided Tony Stark's fate for him because it was the only way. And I think Doctor Strange gathered enough from Iron Man to know that he would probably be okay dying to save the world and the universe. And that's what he did. And Doctor Strange helped him in doing that. And it's not that Doctor Strange isn't now that he saved the universe along with the other heroes and Avenger. It's more or less that he makes the calls on his own without Avengers. He thinks he knows what's best. And the fact that he has the Time Stone, him giving it away without telling anybody why, it gives him a lot of power to us as the viewer, to see him hold the power to give Thanos the Infinity Stone. And for us to wonder why, when just on the ship on their way to Titan, Doctor Strange said he'd let Tony and Peter die if he had to save the stone. Well, he's little hints for us, in those 14 million possibilities. I think Doctor Strange lives with a little bit of weight on his back. From that, I think Doctor Strange is affected by the snap without really wanting to be. He's probably has a little bit of PTSD, maybe similar to Tony Stark when, he sent a rocket through a wormhole in the sky of New York to defeat an alien army. Sometimes Doctor Strange has such human moments, we forget that he's a sorcerer. And that's what I love about Benedict Cumberbatch in this part. He is so emotional in so many of the slightest ways, where there's a lot of just seeing without speaking with him. The first example I could just give you off the top of my head is when he is having this initial conversation with Wanda. Because after the eyeball monster fight, let's just recap. America Chavez, Wong, and Stephen Strange, they go and grab a bite. They discuss with America the multiverse. Doctor Strange explains that he had an occurrence with Spider-Man, also kind of pointing out that he remembers Spider-Man, but not Peter Parker. And I think that's what it's going to be for everybody. So that puts Spider-Man in a really cool position. And I like the fact that technically still makes Spider-Man an Avenger. It might make the Avengers his frickin' family if you think about it, because nobody knows who he is, and everybody in the Avengers knows who Spider-Man is. So Spider-Man still has an identity among his peers, and I think that one line from Doctor Strange and Wong acknowledging they had an incident with Multiverse and Spider-Man, whether or not these two things were being made right by next to each other, maybe it's just by chance that he said that, and it wasn't meant to be that big of a connection, but I don't know. I don't put anything past the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's compare our Doctor Strange with some of the other versions of Doctor Strange that we met. Like, let's do like a similarities and differences type thing. The first Strange, I think known as Defender Strange with the ponytail, as he speaks Spanish. I think that's very cool. There is a line later where he's like, yeah, and apparently there's a universe where I had a ponytail. This Stephen Strange, our Stephen Strange, will probably never grow a ponytail. Confirmed. We meet him, and then who's the next we meet? It's the Stephen Strange who accidentally destroyed universe through an incursion that through the Illuminati and Patrick Stewart. We learn that Doctor Strange didn't go fight with the rest of the heroes and try to figure out a way to beat Thanos, and that Doctor Strange found his answers according to Professor X in the Darkhold, and that's how we see when he's being executed by Black Bolt. I'm sorry. I didn't know who Black Bolt was before this movie, and apparently it's the same actor that plays the character on the Marvel TV show Inhumans that I thought I didn't have to watch. But that's what Marvel's doing. They're bringing in a little bit of fan service from every direction in this movie, and they're giving us a clear vision of one alternate universe. Why? Because we don't start with running. We start with crawling and then walking. This is a big mindfuckery, the whole multiverse thing. Sorry for swearing. But it is. And for the audience, especially the general audience, the majority of people, aside from us hardcore fans, general audiences needs to understand the concept of the multiverse in bits, little by little, and process. And not even then, not everyone's gonna like fully understand, like, why is there two Wandas, why is this, what is that? I mean, the more you watch, I will say this, like, the more you watch these movies, the more you pick up on. You think I think I know everything, and then I watched something twice, like I did for the first and second Doctor Strange. What a fun thing to do. It's such a new thing, but a fun thing. It gives me like, when it just gives me like going to amusement park vibes. It's just, let's ride the ride again, I guess I am agreeing with Scorsese and saying that these movies are like amusement park rides. In a sense, they are. They're a thriller. They're thrillers. This one more of a horror movie. Sometimes, it didn't branch off too far from what we knew of Doctor Strange. It just put a really dark light on Wanda. And we'll get to that in a bit. I kind of love the idea that Wong became Sorcerer Supreme after the snap. You'd think it would affect like Doctor Strange's ego, but I personally believe he's not as affected by it because he knows he's the better sorcerer. And whether or not they've had that argument, I think they probably have. I'm not sure, though, if Wong would agree. I do think Wong knows how great and capable Doctor Strange is. So he is the Sorcerer Supreme in this movie and in Spider-Man, ever since, Doctor Strange was snapped back. And Wong is such a fun character. And I love him as a person. Like, to see him in any project, whenever he makes a cameo, it makes me really happy. I don't know about you guys. So seeing Wong get to kick some ass in this movie was really cool. He had this like sword chain, magical chain thing he was using to fight the giant monster. And oh my gosh, that spell that Doctor Strange used where he brings out the two giant hands, picks up a streetlight and jabs it in Elizabeth Olsen's eye. Yeah, that is her actual eye in that giant monster. They scanned Elizabeth Olsen, the Scarlet Witch's eye, and put it in that giant monster because she's controlling it. That is the kind of detail that I love. And that was gory and disgusting. I wonder, does she feel pain when that happens? Or was she puppeteering it so she can't feel pain? I mean, it is crazy to think she is that strong. I kind of trailed off. I was on my way to saying one of my favorite parts. You know, we were talking about Doctor Strange's, aka Benedict Cumberbatch, his facial expressions, and how he does so much acting, in even the role of Doctor Strange, which is so good for the MCU when they have real human moments, acting moments, and you have to realize. Like I realize, I don't believe, I'm 99% sure we had never seen these two characters have a conversation before this moment when they're in the big field with Wanda. He knows of her. She knows of him. She obviously knows of him. She just killed a variant of him as that creature from the beginning of the movie. We find out she is controlling them. So, you know, she introduces herself by saying, I thought you'd come and see me about the events of Westview. And, you know, that's for us WandaVision fans out there. And Strange says, you fixed it and, you know, it's behind you. That's not why. Westview isn't the reason I'm here. That's all we get from WandaVision, kind of. But it's acknowledging that there's a story that led up to this. And you might feel a little more versed or conflicted about Wanda as a character after seeing WandaVision. I would watch WandaVision before watching this. I can imagine some casual fans might have just watched this. And they do have a self-contained story like they do in all the movies to where you can watch it without knowing everything. But there's tons of fan service and whatnot. Wanda and Steven are talking, and it looks beautiful. They're apple trees, apparently. Commentary told me they were cherry blossoms or something, and every single leaf on those trees, every single leaf was hand put there by somebody. Like they decorated the whole tree, all the trees. It took them like all day plus maybe days. That's commitment. That's a Sam Raimi decision, I'm guessing, using a lot of practical effects. Practical effects feel real. They make you jump, sit back in your seat, and I really like the way this movie was shot. The look on Benedict Cumberbatch's face. I'm going to get to this point. I've been trying to get here for like 10 minutes, and I keep getting sidetracked because of the awesomeness of this movie. He asks if she can help. We have a kid who has access to the multiverse, and there's an evil creature trying to suck her power out, and we need for its own gain. And we need your help. And Wanda says something along the lines of, why don't you bring America here? I could take care of her. And yada, 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 yada. And like just as she's talking, you see Doctor Strange's face. And it doesn't like drop, but like very slowly you see, and this is subtle, you see him kind of like drop to a low level. And Wanda stops and turns back towards him and says, you never told me her name, did you? And he says, no, I didn't. So this turns really quickly on Doctor Strange. He had no idea Wanda was behind this. And just as America Chavez says later, like back at the Carmitage, forgive me for my terrible pronunciation after watching, I've watched this 4 times. I can't say the name right. That's just my problem. She's like, so you pay, she tells Doctor Strange for what he actually did. You found the person that was chasing me and told them where I'm at. And it's like, yeah, he had no idea. He was just going to see another Avenger. Another reason why probably Doctor Strange doesn't want to be the leader, if not a leader of the Avengers. I don't hear him talk about it much. The chemistry between Doctor Strange and Wong is absolutely one of my favorite relationships in the MCU. They are buddies, and in the first movie, they were kind of adversaries until the end, when Doctor Strange said something about the aftermath of the fight, and Wong just starts cracking up in the streets. I love that. And Wong grows with Doctor Strange, and he's a staple of this franchise. I can't imagine anything happening to him except for they planned on decapitating him in the original cut of this movie. There was even story art, and it was Wanda was going to behead him and in front of Doctor Strange, and that would have been the thing that made Doctor Strange crack. I'm glad they didn't go that route. This is the second decapitation actual conversation I've heard from Marvel. They were going to do that with Thanos in Endgame. They had an idea to have Thanos come and have Captain America's head and throw it at the new Avengers' feet to show he went in 2014 and killed the Avengers before he came back. And I'm glad that they just did what they did with Wong. They kept him in the movie the whole time. He's a bigger character. He's our eyes on the ground where he's being held captive by Wanda mostly the entire movie. We even think he died at one point, which I, for some reason in theaters, thought that was funny when he fell off the cliff. And I watched it twice this time, and it wasn't funny. I don't know why I laughed, man. That was a weird memory. Like maybe it was a different take, or maybe I don't know. I just thought it was like just physically funny. Him falling off the cliff. I don't know why. I don't find it funny at all anymore. My gut sank because I forgot that happened. And I'm like, oh my god, well, I know he's not dead, but like they really could have done that there. That would have been kind of, maybe they're waiting for the decapitation for like an Avengers movie or something. Gosh, that's gonna earn a PG-13 rating, ain't it? So yeah, Stephen Strange and Wong, they're like best friends. They won't acknowledge it. They riff a lot. They argue, they bicker. I think it's a great dynamic, and I want to see more of Wong and Strange. Even if Strange is going back to the Dark Dimension or something next movie, we'll talk about that post-credit scene at some point. Yeah, we learned through Marvel's What If, in Doctor Strange What If He Lost His Heart and Not His Hands, what Christine means to Doctor Strange. We know from the first movie he has a thing with her on and off type deal, but they're kind of like a more complex friend situation. Like later in the movie, in 838, Christine, she mentions that we never quite figured out what we were, when Doctor Strange asked. He's in love with her. He loves her. He is so caught up in work and all of that knowledge that he attained to be the Sorcerer Supreme when he's not anymore, that could be weighing on him as well. You know what I mean? So this romantic side to Stephen Strange, and I wonder if he silently holds like a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man type rhetoric where he tells her that, or he thinks that if I'm doing my job as Sorcerer, it could put her in danger. It's kind of like that mentality. And I can kind of see that. It's kind of interesting that I feel that without it being said. And it's Sam Raimi who made Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 with Tobey Maguire. So, I don't know. Something's just telling me that. So, we saw WandaVision a few weeks ago. I noticed and acknowledge, I think it's the second time I'm bringing this up, but my after show for that, I talked like 15 minutes about WandaVision and Agatha, and I guess it was more of like exploring Agatha's character in WandaVision. However, I don't think I quite said enough on terms of what I thought of the show. I just loved WandaVision. We didn't know. We had no idea how they were living together in a sitcom-y world. It just is how the show started. And through this show, 9 episodes long, we learn about Wanda and what happened to her, and the truth is unveiled. Think about it. Wanda has to kill Vision. She does, breaks the stone, succeeds. Thanos comes by. We've all lost a lot today, says something like it. She's like, you have no idea. Thanos does the one thing that she probably never thought possible, but is realizing it in the moment. He's using his new time stone, this nifty little gift from Doctor Strange, and he brings Vision back to life just to rip the stone out of his head and kill him again. And Wanda watched it all. So you think, it's been 5 years, she's had some time to process this. No, she got snapped right afterwards. Okay. So now She killed the love of her life. He was brought back to life, murdered in front of her, snaps back to life. That only happened 5 minutes ago in Avengers Endgame when she's back. She's coming on that battlefield for like instant revenge. It's just trying to get in her head. So much happened so fast for her. And then she went directly from Endgame to the sword facility, maybe days, if not a week or so later, because on the TV at the sword facility in WandaVision, when she goes to see Hayward, it's talking about the blip and people returning. So what does Wanda do? She kind of creates a ruckus in the outside security hall. She was kind of framed to make it look like she stormed the place and stole Vision's body. Spoilers for WandaVision. Spoilers for WandaVision. Little did we know until the end, or near the end, that Wanda actually created her own vision with her power. And Hayward had him on a table in front of Wanda, and she put her hand on his head. She's like, I can't feel you anymore. And that is when she goes straight to Westview, because Vision bought a property for them, and it was a place for them to grow old in. And this made her weep. This made her weep in her powers. This subconsciously created a hex and distorted all of reality. This is the beginning of Wanda's Scarlet Witch awakening. The show gradually shows Wanda going through things super fast, kind of in the fashion of how fast Vision died. How fast can they have babies? She's in a dream world, and she had kids with Vision. And that was not just a mental thing. That was a physical thing. That was real. They were real to her. They were real to anyone else who went inside the hex. And when she took down the hex, the kids weren't there anymore. So our antagonist in this movie, I know we've been on it for a little bit, but you have to understand, like, some people really don't like the direction they took with Wanda in this movie, because the way their story in WandaVision kind of aligned that she was going to be more of an anti-hero. She gained her powers, and it was kind of speculated that she wouldn't do what she ended up doing. However, there were hints to it. In the post-credit scene to WandaVision, we got her walking outside with a cup of coffee, and then it goes to her room, and it's her soul, or what, I forget what they call it in Doctor Strange, and she's doing stuff with the Darkhold, and you can hear her kids screaming. And if anyone's watched Shang-Chi's dad, do you remember when he is trying to get his wife out of that demon wall, and it is a demon seducing him to think he can get his wife back? I wonder if there's some dark, like in that dark magic that Wanda is summoning, if those kids she's hearing initially is like the same type of evil spirits, just trying to get her to use the Darkhold and become corrupted by it. I find it so creepy, and they don't even hone in on it all the time. The users of the Darkholds, the tips of their fingers are pure black, showing that the Darkhold extracts a heavy toll. So needless to say, between WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness, Wanda had gone down a bit of a dark tunnel, and out of grief. The one thing that bothers me, she brings up Vision once in the movie, and that's just in a reaction to Strange asking her, do you know anything about the multiverse? Viz said, he believes in it and it's very dangerous. And that's not what she cares about anymore, because she mourned Vision's loss like twice. What she does care about is out there finding those kids that she had and that she feels like she's owed, because that's honestly the one thing she could cling on to, because she had lost so much. And boy, is that relatable. Some people thought they went too hard on the bad guy aspect, Wanda being the antagonist. I kind of like that they leaned into it a little bit. I know that's not popular. I know that the character development that she had in WandaVision doesn't align fully with this movie. However, she's dreaming of her kids, and the WandaVision song's playing in the background. WandaVision is important, and she she does have the potential to be good, but she like most great villains doesn't believe she's doing evil. Like Doctor Strange points out, what's going to happen to those kids' mother when you go and take over their family? She's not thinking about that stuff. Like she would have to kill in movie the other version of herself and take over. And as we see, towards the end of the movie, the kids see right through her. They know who their real mom is, despite them looking the same. They're in different universes. They're different people. They've led different lives, and she kind of visually realizes that, and she gives up after that pretty awesome fight towards the end of the movie. I don't know much about comic book Wanda. I probably should have done a little research on that. I don't know how similar her story is. I know people really want Wanda back. There are rumors of a Scarlet Witch movie, so the redemption arc is possible. Like we know Loki killed at least 60 people at the beginning of Avengers, if not more, and then he goes on to his own show, and we're rationalized to like him again because I don't know how they get us on his side so easily. Tom Hiddleston's brilliant. I won't say anything else about Loki. If you haven't seen it, we covered it all towards the beginning of this podcast. Go watch Loki and then listen to us as a companion piece. I had so much fun talking about that show. Loki season 1, and then we did one episode on Loki season 2. If you want to hear more about Loki, email marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. Give me your ideas. I'll jump. I love Loki. If you want to talk more about Loki, maybe we'll do like a Loki theory episode. Like, what will his parts in Doomsday and Secret Wars be? You know what I mean? Wanda wants kids. She had them and she wants them. And she has a motherly instinct already, and she's like defensive over it. So somebody who's like defending what they love and trying to take what they believe is theirs, they're going to go to the extreme that they can to do it, especially Wanda. That's why she summons the monsters, and that's why she attacks Carmitage after her and Strange's conversation in the apple orchard. She tells Strange, what I'm about to do is me being reasonable if you don't hand over the girl. Thus, the scene that follows is so cool. We've never seen Scarlet Witch this powerful. She's hovering. She's, like I said, we love these shots. Like she realizes she can get in by getting into the mind of one of the Carmitage soldiers. And one of the guys looks her in the eye, and then she just like slowly pans into his picture, whispers into her ear, "Run." And the way, like, she floated past him and said it. Like, that is eerie. Like, I love that. And I'm not going to forget to mention, because I did want to mention this, when she's talking to Doctor Strange at one of the points in the movie, she kind of rags on him for giving Thanos the Time Stone. Did you realize that if he didn't do that, then, and if he wasn't able to get the Time Stone, he wouldn't have been able to kill Vision or save Vision and then kill him again for the stone. Wanda would have been able to destroy it, and if only Doctor Strange put it off a little bit longer, to be honest. But if you really actually think about it, Doctor Strange couldn't have put it off any longer. Tony Stark was about to die. He knew of a future, at least one he honed in on. Maybe he missed another one or two, but he saw the future of Tony Stark saving everything. And he saw the road that leads to it, and he knew what he had to do. And that's what I love about Doctor Strange. I'm really interested in seeing how the Illuminati defeated him with the Book of Ashanti and just the abilities of all those heroes. I mean, Thanos is just impaled on something when we see him in the universe during that flashback. The Illuminati consists of Reed Richards, John Krasinski. That's like a fan dream casting. I love John Krasinski. I love The Office. I'd be okay if he was the actual Reed Richards. I love Pedro Pascal too. They're gonna probably blow us out of the water with who they picked. Pedro Pascal is a great actor. John Krasinski is also a great actor, and to have Reed Richards, Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, not just regular Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau. She is she's so badass. She's got a heck of an attitude in the Marvels, right? And it's so cool to see her so powerful. We have Captain Carter, who really is just from What If, and that was my like maybe one of my favorite things from the movie, except for when she dies. But I mean, that's extraordinary. And then Black Bolt, a hero I know nothing about up until this movie, except he may be one of the most powerful entities in the universe with what he can do just by speaking words at people. He's from Inhumans, so I talked about how I never seen Inhumans, and I might want to watch that now, just because of the actor. It seems pretty cool. When Scarlet Witch is entering the Sanctum at Carmitage, Doctor Strange does something that I didn't notice he tries to do to all his enemies really until recently. Like, he tries to trap Thanos in the mirror dimension, and Thanos like used the stones to break the dimension into like different matter, so like he didn't get caught in it. He caught Spider-Man in the mirror dimension and technically got caught. Maybe a little lesson learned there. And in this movie, he catches Wanda, I believe, in the mirror dimension as she's entering Carmitage, because the place starts tripping out like it does in the first Doctor Strange. So when she's entering, like, all the walls are moving around her, and she does anything to get to them. There are puddles of water, and America Chavez looks at one of them, and she sees Wanda. And how something that really just makes her just a horrible villain in the first place is the fact that she wants to take this girl's powers and kill her pretty much and use them for herself. Like, how does she live with that? And when did her character get that angry? It's the Darkhold, in my opinion. The Darkhold took a hold of her. It's the only thing that can be an excuse for her redemption arc, that she was kind of taken by the Darkhold. It's so hard to forgive and just write things off that way, though. We seem to be able to do it at Loki because of the stakes. You know, they're astronomical, and he kind of pays a sacrifice forward in a way. Like, his character is so rounded out, and I can understand why people who love WandaVision and fell even more in love with Wanda after that. I think we wanted more of like an anti-hero story from her. And, you know, even in original cuts of the movie, you hear this on the commentary, look it up online, Wanda wasn't going to be the threat. She was going to turn into a threat some point towards near the end of the movie. She was going to be on the journey with Stephen Strange. I don't know why I keep calling him Stephen Strange and not Doctor Strange. And the main villain for the whole movie would have been someone called Nightmare from the comics. And he's one of apparently Doctor Strange's adversaries in the comics. I don't know much really next to anything about him. Maybe they're saving him for the next movie or just down the road or something. They decided to go down a darker path, and the story became probably a little bit more focused for them. The fact that WandaVision was kind of premiering as this was being filmed, you'd like to expect and hope that they were looking at the show and crafting the story based off the show. And there are some things they did to do that. Like the 838 Wanda's house is like a remake of the house in WandaVision. It's not at the same angles because it's shot like a movie and not like a sitcom, but it's the same exact house style layout, which probably triggers Wanda even more, which is probably why Wanda wants to take that exact Wanda's form. You know, it's fun. I don't think she'd really. I don't think she was thinking when she wanted to take the kids after she like killed the Illuminati. And okay, the Illuminati, they're presented as kind of pretentious. Am I wrong? Like, I don't feel like I think it was more or less supposed to come off as like really, you know, badass. Like, they were like, yeah, these are the guys who didn't need to wait 5 years to actually defeat Thanos. Like, we stopped the snap. That's not said, but with Mordo on top of it, you know, it's like they don't listen to Doctor Strange because of the failures his other self endured. And I don't know. Like, if he destroyed a whole other universe by accident trying to save his universe, it's not like he did that on purpose. Like, he was trying to help with Thanos. Maybe he went against some orders, and it costs an astronomical toll when you think about the lives gone. But if only the Illuminati knew about the TVA, the actual branches of timeline getting ripped off, and pruned, like, they would probably give Doctor Strange a pass, because this Doctor Strange didn't do anything, and that Doctor Strange even, he it's so easy to talk about something that just exists. So it's like a whole other universe with billions and trillions of people gone, and that your brain can't really process that. But if you let your brain try and process that, you're like, oh my God, well, this person should be arrested at the very least. And that's the way the Illuminati in this movie took it. This universe that they're in, that they traveled to, is like alternate Earth. It's got a futuristic look to it. There's a lot more vibrant colors. When they get there, America accidentally, obviously, opens a portal into the multiverse, and we get our crazy awesome scene of Doctor Strange and America Chavez, like, falling through the multiverse, going through 1, 2, 3 realities, the paint one, the animated one, and like they keep coming faster and faster. There has to be like 20 something realities shown. That's the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, like, we're seeing from a first-hand perspective what the multiverse is kind of like, and it's not a slow burn, but it is like, not, this movie isn't going to go to 10 universes and meet 10 Iron Men and 5 other Doctors. Like, this movie has to have a clear path, and showcasing the multiverse and like what effects you can have by messing with another universe. I wanted to cover earlier in the movie, America Chavez, she's with Doctor Strange, who, in the end of things, he says, in the grand scale of the multiverse, or something along the lines of that, he starts taking her power, and he's trying to kill her until he gets stabbed by the beast at the beginning of the movie that they're being chased by. And you'd think that caused some trust issues for America when she finds herself on the run again scenes later, to her probably, like, I don't know, within like moments later, being chased through our New York 616 by this giant tentacle being. So this girl's been on the run. She had a whole other like prequel to this you could have had, running from creatures and beasts, and the Defender Doctor Strange taking her power. It was very reminiscent of Spider-Man No Way Home. In the grand calculus of the multiverse, their sacrifice means more than their lives. I think that's what it is. He says that about the villains, and that's what causes Peter to try and take Doctor Strange's stuff and lock him up in the mirror dimension. He didn't want to do that, but like, that was the only option at the point. So yeah, I was going off of the Illuminati scene because I wanted to backtrack and showcase a couple of moments about America, because I didn't really talk about her yet, and she's an integral part of this movie. And Doctor Strange and her make a pretty great team. I mean, she doesn't know her powers. He's more of like, looking out for her. She doesn't know until the end of the movie that she has actual like fighting power, which is really cool. So she's got a little bit of like superhero action in her. Like, the multiverse portal isn't the only thing she can do, but she's going to be a key character going forward, I think, at least with the Young Avengers, or whether it be with Doomsday or something to do with the multiverse. They don't have Tony Stark right now to build something for them to travel the multiverse, so America might be their guide or something like that. And who is there? As in, like, what Avengers? You tell me. I just had like a horrible like thought of like, what if they do this thing they did with Loki to like Star-Lord with Doctor Doom? Like, Doctor Doom sideline. Dun, dun, dun. We'll be right back to Multiverse of Madness. We're going to talk about Doctor Doom for a second. Yeah, Doctor Doom shows up. First hero on the scene, maybe because he's like closest. Star-Lord shows up to fight him or question him, or, he is a superhero from another planet, but we're not used to seeing him dealing with Earth problems. I had a really bad thought that like Doctor Doom is going to kill a Peter Quill just to break our hearts and give the Avengers maybe a chance to assemble to fight Doom for a good reason. A lot of the Avengers around, they don't know Star-Lord that well because he only fought on Titan, snapped away, and came back and fought at the Battle of Earth. So a lot of the main Avengers don't know him. I don't know if he's even considered an Avenger. I mean, everyone is a freaking Avenger in Endgame, all right? So, if you ask me, he's an Avenger. That's it. That, you know what? It's just it's like, what are they going to do to make Doom the big threat that he's supposed to be? Taking out one of our greatest comedic heroes might crush our souls a little bit. Don't do that, please, Marvel. Don't kill Star-Lord. I want to see more Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. I love it. I loved Guardians of the Galaxy, all of them. So getting very sidetracked here, but we're talking about the Multiverse of Madness. We got to go in some tangents in other directions. The fact that America's been like on the run her whole life, between on the run and being stuck, being dragged into different multiverses every time she got scared. I like to imagine maybe she had to try and build a home at one point, and she kind of has some similarities with Sylvie from the show Loki, where they're kind of always moving from place to place, to timeline to timeline. It'd be really interesting to see those two characters, America and Sylvie, meet and maybe like relate on a certain level. And if you'll notice, every time Doctor Strange lands in this alleyway and walks out of it whenever he goes to a new universe, which is like 2 or 3 times, and I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, you get pushed through the universes. Their first solution is to go see the Doctor Strange of 838. On their way, we meet Pizza Papa. And Pizza Papa is this guy who sells like pizza balls. And America took some, thinking like food is free in most universes. He says that's something to think about. Free is food in most universes? Dang. So after Doctor Strange puts Pizza Papa in a 2-week trance, beating himself up, which was really funny, yet deeply concerned me. Like, I thought about that for way too many minutes after it happened. Like, 2 weeks? Like, can he eat? Like, how is anybody going to help him? Can anybody help him? Like, so many thoughts. The post-credit scene, the final one, if you wait through the credits, he's beating him up. He's beating himself up still. He looks really even more beat up. And he's like, he gets out released from the spell, and he looks at the camera, and he's like, it's over. So, Bruce Campbell, awesome. He's a big friend of Sam Raimi's, and he's in a lot of the movies Sam Raimi creates, including the Spider-Man. Some very funny roles in those Spider-Man movies. Back to the story. We are in 838 universe. We're going to see Mordo now. And Mordo, at first, like, they have this, like, Texas, like, not Texas, it's like outlaw stare down, But Mordo eventually just embraces Doctor Strange being there, and he's like, tell me all about your universe. So he takes them inside, gives them some tea, just being having great hospitality. You can get right into Doctor Strange falling into your trap, apparently. So I'm concerned. It's mentioned in the movie that he's fighting Mordo, like from his universe has been hellbent on trying to kill him, and getting that type of embrace from him was kind of surprising. And Doctor Strange is just a little bit sus of him, but not too sus to go in and have that tea. So yeah, we know that he used some sort of sands, the sands of Nashanti or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what he says. It's from the comics. I know that from Screen Crush or New Rockstars. I watch a lot of them. So a lot of my theories might bounce a little bit off of theirs. I love those channels. Go check them out on YouTube if you haven't. We are finally at the part where Doctor Strange and America Chavez wake up, and they are being monitored by this universe's Christine. And apparently her and former Doctor Strange, also had a relationship, something going on, but then it's the same thing. They didn't figure it out. And that's interesting that in every universe, like, no matter what, certain things happen in every universe. I love you. That's what he says at the end. It's just the most beautiful thing. It's tragically beautiful. And just like Wanda has to accept she isn't getting her kids, Doctor Strange has to accept that he isn't getting the girl. So we get our Illuminati walkouts. Everyone goes crazy in the theaters for these, fan casting, freaking Reed Richards, and it being John Krasinski. Loved it. I love the little time portal thing he comes through. That seems like very relevant technology. And then we get Captain Carter, I think I said this, but Captain Marvel, Professor X. So that was, Patrick Stewart comes into the movie, you're like, wow. They have a rationale and they take themselves very seriously. And I guess that's just like, that can be debated about for hours on what's Doctor Strange did in 838 and accidentally destroyed another universe. If it should be handled that way. It's so interesting. And they believe that Doctor Strange is a bigger threat than the Scarlet Witch. And Doctor Strange keeps trying to tell them that she's very powerful and she's coming for us. Like, she is on her way. She dream walks, which we learned from Mordo in the scene a few scenes ago, actually. But before they knocked out, dream walking is when you take hold of a body of yours, someone else, like another you in another universe, and control it. And you're like kind of living in that other universe for a certain amount of time. And you're not supposed to be there. And Reed Richards explains incursions. And it's when the boundaries between two worlds break and collide, causing the destruction of one or both universes. Dang, that's dangerous. And they believe that this Doctor Strange, just like the other Doctor Strange, and he does sound a little bit arrogant, the Illuma Wuddy. That might be my least favorite line of the movie. He's such a smart guy, the Illuma Wuddy, but I like his sarcasm. The delivery on that was perfect. So the Illuminati does look really badass, very strong, and lo and behold, they turn on security cameras to see Wanda busting open this place, defeating all these Ultron bots, and they're called Ultron. So you tell me there's not a Tony Stark in this universe. And I also know that there's an there are Infinity Stones in this universe, and I would not doubt that the Illuminati would have those in this universe either. I might have said this early on because I'm so excited about it, but my theory about the Illuminati in 838, a couple of things can happen. Like, Wanda gets a redemption arc, gets her a movie, something like that, and just rationalizes / tries to forget about the things, the atrocities she committed against that Illuminati. Meanwhile, those Ultron bots look way more advanced than we'd ever seen Tony's Ultrons or Jarvis's, or Ultron worked in this universe. And who made the sacrifice play? It was Doctor Strange, because we would know about Iron Man making a sacrifice play. They don't talk about Iron Man, but I believe there's a statue of him in the Illuminati place. It might be of something else, but it looks like it's like Iron Man holding up something above his head. I think actually he might be like the core Avenger. He has access to the Infinity Stones. Wanda and Doctor Strange go on their chase. They go to another, they move on, and then this universe's Iron Man comes back with the Infinity Stones, or someone from this universe comes back with the Infinity Stones and either snaps them back to life, or uses the Time Stone to bring them all back, or maybe one character they can't bring back, like Professor X or something like that. Something tells me earlier in the episode, I've been all over the place about this episode. We're jumping from scene to scene in our own way. I hope you are enjoying. I'm enjoying talking about it and just getting kind of lost in it. But I may have mentioned that theory. I think 838 might seek a revenge against 616, and they'll consider it like a giant attack, or there will be an incursion between those two universes. I don't know, but I just got a feeling that's just not the last we are going to see of that time. You don't just blow up everyone's world and then walk away and everyone forgets, and it's well, I guess she's gone. They have access to the multiverse too. Especially they look more technically advanced in this universe as well. So I sense a retaliation, and it might be like a pre-Secret Wars or like the beginning of Secret Wars. This might be like the propellant, like the Civil War to Infinity War, where everyone's all set up to lose because they just had a civil war. So I find that very exciting. Wanda brutalizes them, and the cockiness shows in I can't think of John Krasinski's name. Reed Richards, he kind of like laughs and says, Wanda, Black Bolt can say one word and you'll just be decimated. And okay, not word for word here, but it cuts to him, and then she takes his mouth away, and if that's not terrifying enough, she put her magic in his helmet, and his head like decompressed, and he died. Like, that was the most brutal death in the MCU. And then we get Reed Richards dying, and he looks like spaghettified, similar to a lot of the things we're seeing lately, like in Loki season 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine, the spaghettification of universes and stuff. That's kind of what happens when a universe is destroyed fully. I don't know why Wanda has the power to do that type of thing to someone, but it is similar. So maybe that Reed Richards made it to the Void or something like that. She brutalized him. And then Captain Marvel and Captain Carter, they're both looking at each other like, holy moly, we gotta take care of this. So they have this kind of cool fight. There's this Captain America's main theme, I realized, was under this fight. Every time Peggy came on screen, Captain Carter, she would have a little bit of that Captain America song, but in minor, which is such a nice nod. It's such a nice nod. I hope we get to see more of her in live action, and like, I'd like to see her not die right away. And so one throw of her shield, and the Scarlet Witch catches it and flips it on back. And I mean, we don't see it, but I think she cuts her in half. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it shows us her eyes, and she just dies immediately. And this is when Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, she's so cool as Captain Marvel, I feel like. She goes against Wanda, and Wanda fights so hard and gets her on the ground, and then throws a statue on top of her, and her hand kind of like falls out like she's dead. We see this, and we're not thinking in the moment like, oh, maybe they'll come back for retaliation. And maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm hellbent on this theory today. But let's get away, because Doctor Strange was told by Professor X, before Professor X was going into Wanda's mind, trying to help her, the Wanda that was being, possessed, and he got his neck snapped by Scarlet Witch. And in that world that he was in, inside her mind, she was like a ghostly looking Scarlet Witch. She was scary. So he tells Professor X says, if you and America are to get out of here, you must get to the Book of Ashanti. And we find out it is real, and then there's only one way to get to it. And Doctor Strange had built a waypoint. I forget the exact word they used, but he built a way to get to it. And they are on the run from Wanda to get to this dimension, which holds the Book of Ashanti, which we've seen at the beginning of the movie, as America was running away from the monster with Defender Strange. So they finally figure out that it's Doctor Strange's watch. In every universe, he has one of these watches, and this watch was the key to opening the door. And we get a really cool cosmic look, like the doors, like they're like upside down, and like they all got to jump down out of the door. And I don't know, like these are little moments that give the adventure feel, especially after like the horror show of the Illuminati. That was shocking. That was shocking that she did that. We didn't know what. I mean, we knew Wanda was capable of bad things, but we've never seen Wanda like hurt someone, and she hurt them. And as a character, it is interesting to see, from my perspective, how they write her out of that. I don't know how. The fact that the real Wanda, who she possesses, not the real Wanda, the Wanda who actually has the kids, who she's been possessing the whole movie, she forgives her and tells Wanda, no, they'll be loved. I mean, how much compassion can a person have? She knows how much the kids mean to her, because she has them and she loves her kids, and would do anything for them. Like Wanda, like they're the same person. So I think she shows her a little bit of sympathy at the end, towards the end of the movie, 838 Wanda, because she knows how much love a person can have for their children or for their significant other. She didn't say enough about Vision in this movie, but I think the fact that she wanted the kids that she had with Vision back says enough. I think she's grieving Vision. She mentions it at one point in the whole movie. She's a little bit bitter about the Time Stone, I imagine. There's a lot of reasons to just assume We know WandaVision. We know these two characters are, in love. And I don't know if I don't think she's over Vision after this or during this movie. I think she's just hell-bent on a task, beelining towards it without thinking of any of the consequences. I want a redemption arc. I know I keep saying that. It's just hard to give a character one after they do certain things like that. So they get to the book, and immediately Scarlet Witch arrives to where they are and destroys the book. And America opens up a portal, or she makes America open up a portal somehow back to 616, and Doctor Strange and Christine end up in this, I guess it's an incursion world where everything's all floaty, and they enter the same alleyway. The big point is they need to go help America, but they don't know how to get out of this world. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to go see the Doctor Strange of this universe, other me. This is what needs to happen, but it's not a pretty path. I really like this new Doctor Strange that we meet here. This world doesn't look like anyone's even living in it. So, did he destroy his own world? I don't think so. I think he might have used the Darkhold to create incursions and to create an incursion. I think he maybe overused it to try and find his own Christine, similar to doing what Wanda was doing. Maybe that Doctor Strange was doing himself. So he's a bad guy. We get the vibe. We learn, he wants Doctor Strange to tell him, our Doctor Strange, what's something that only we would know. And he mentions that his sister fell through ice on a frozen lake and died right in front of his eyes. And the evil Doctor Strange, he says, we don't talk about that, though, do we? And that's a great introduction from one person to the same other person. This guy has the Darkhold on his hand like a gun. They exchange so many words for us to really learn that this Doctor Strange is a creep. He wants Christine, and then he'll give Doctor Strange the Darkhold, and that's what starts the fight, because he's like, she's not going to go for that, and I don't want her. He's not going to want her to do that and leave her with this monster. So they have this unique fight, which I buy. I know this has been criticized. Okay, the music fight. Doctor Strange is always looking at books and taking spells straight out of books and putting them into action. Doctor Strange is the best wizard in the world, maybe universe. And he can probably look at any text, especially music script, and turn it into something like an attack like that. I buy it. His name is Doctor Frickin' Strange. It was a fun scene. It had music. It wasn't as overdone as that scene in the Marvels. That is the only scene I don't really like that much, but it's actually kind of funny. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Marvels. How bad do you want to see the Marvels after show? Email marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. Your thoughts. Man, so they fight with music, and eventually our Doctor Strange pushes, he throws sinister, evil Doctor Strange onto a fence post, and it was right in front of Christine, so it scared the living heck out of her. And Doctor Strange knows he has to use the Darkhold. Like, Christine's like, what, you're actually doing this? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, how are you going to dream walk if you don't have a body in that universe to do it? And he says, well, what if the body... no one ever said it had to be alive. So that's when we get to see the Defender Strange from the first beginning of the movie break out of his grave that they created from him. Is that the same rooftop as Spider-Man? Is that the Spider-Man No Way Home rooftop? I really thought it was the first time I saw it. Is it? You tell me. At Marvel Maniac Pod on Twitter. Find us everywhere. To be honest, aka Mr. Honest, has to tell you that I haven't been posting on the pages as much as I should. I'm getting back into the swing of things after 5 months. It feels like I've been making episodes for a while, and I say something along the lines of this. The key to being honest is being honest with yourself, and I'm doing the best I can right now. That's the truth. This movie is almost over in my mind. I don't want to forget any big moments before I go to the end of the movie, but I already talked about I love you in every universe, and when they're saying goodbye to each other, how sweet that is. I actually almost cried. I'm not even kidding. I think that's the sweetest line. As so sweet. if you have a special someone out there, like every universe, like they have a thing, like you need that's special. I get it. I totally get it from Doctor Strange. I have a feeling he's ready to move on. I don't think they're setting up Christine to like be with him. I think this was really a part of accepting Doctor Strange, accepting who he is, and he can't lead two lives, and he's probably going to use this experience with this Christine to move on, so Christine from his universe can be happy. And out of everything, we know that he wants her to be happy. So I appreciate that. He's such a good guy, our Doctor Strange. But we get to see him looking really gnarly when he possesses this dead body of himself. He sling rings a portal to the place that Wanda is. I just realized I didn't talk about any of this. Wanda, one of Wong's friends / people at the Carmitage, she came in and she broke the Darkhold, like kind of like the book in Harry Potter in the second one. She destroys the Darkhold, and Wanda falls out of the dream walk for a while, and she murders, obviously, the person who did that, and then makes Wong take her to this place that the Darkhold was transcribed. It's Mount Wundagore, and we do see the statue of Scarlet Witch in the void. So we don't know if that's going to end up there because Scarlet Witch did survive. I don't know, but it's got these giant creatures protecting her, and Doctor Strange just like made them all fall off a cliff. Before he got there, though, like he was being possessed by all these souls. It's like it's against law, like unwritten dead people law, that you can't possess a dead body. And Doctor Strange gets like, this is scary. Like when we see him in our 838 universe, like he's casting himself, he's like shaking and he gets pulled into like a dark water, and some of the demons escape his eye, and Christine like has to destroy them. It's scary, and they're scary looking demons. But Christine reminds Doctor Strange, "You're a sorcerer. Use them. You can use them to your advantage." He makes this giant ghostly demon cloak made out of real monsters, and oh my god, this is like the most twisted heavy metal thing I've ever seen in the MCU. And when he gets there, Wanda calls him a hypocrite. And you know what? This is one of the coolest parts of the movie. It's so cool. His face is decaying. And America, being the hero that she like is, she's ready to sacrifice her powers to Doctor Strange. She's like, "You're here to take my powers, aren't you?" That's heartbreaking, because of that first. It's the same body of the same guy who tried to do that to her. No, he gives America a talk about everywhere that she took us, we were meant to be. And I don't know how that's necessarily positively right. Like, I don't know why they would have had to go to 838, but maybe those are the places they had to visit to escape Wanda, to make Wanda see when America gets up, punches, and she can control it now, punches into the multiverse, the same 838 Wanda, and the kids first, they see Scarlet Witch and they start freaking out and throwing things at her. And this is the performance by Elizabeth Olsen here is just phenomenal. I'm talking about Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, but hey, both are. She is like crying, like she's like, "I'm not bad. I wouldn't hurt anyone." And she realizes she's hurting people. So does she have a redemption arc? A small one. I mean, she destroyed so much to only be able to hopefully stop future people from using this magic. She was possessed in a sense, and that's another good excuse to bring her back. Like I said earlier, I just love that scene where 838 Wanda says they'll be loved. No, they'll be loved. And that is just so much for me. And America closes the portal, and what Scarlet Witch proceeds to do after Doctor Strange goes straight back to his real body, and America goes with Wong back to Carmitage, and Wanda makes the sacrifice to destroy it, Mount Wundagore. And somehow the Darkhold in every universe, I don't understand that very much, but I don't know how she did that, but that's okay. She did it. Maybe she's one of the few Wandas, if any, that is supposed to be the Scarlet Witch. Maybe there's only one Mount Wondergore in our universe. I'm not positive. If there's a Darkhold in every universe, though, there's probably a Mount Wondergore too, meaning like, did she destroy all the Mount Wondergores? I don't know. And is it called Mount Wondergore? How horrible would it be if I just like made that up? That'd be so dumb. So I love Doctor Strange really willing to sacrifice. He puts on the cape at the exact moment he's needed. He doesn't hesitate when he's needed to be called to action to save someone or something. It goes to show how he threw his cape on and he went down to fight that monster at the beginning of the movie. He's ready. And him and Wong are so coordinated that they make such a great team. I'd feel protected on Earth with them. I would feel very protected by those two guys. I love those guys. So we know America Chavez is probably going to have a pretty important role going forward. What that is exactly and how it'll be utilized, we're yet to see. I heard some pretty cool ideas about the Fantastic Four recently. Maybe we should do a theory video on that soon and just like talk about all the possibilities with Dustin or TJ or both of them. Maybe. Who's your favorite? No, they're both our favorites. They're both our favorite. They're both amazing. I have a couple other guests I'm trying to get set up. I really want to do an episode with someone who doesn't know next to anything of the MCU and watch one movie, maybe an early movie like Captain Marvel or maybe Spider-Man Homecoming, and just like see their perspective of only seeing that, not knowing the MCU, and how does the movie stand on its own. I think that's a really cool premise for an episode. By the end of this movie, America is training at Carmitage, and her and Doctor Strange have built a rapport at this point. And they went on a real journey through the multiverse together. All is well now. We, after we see America and Wong, for the last time in the movie, not sad because I know we'll be seeing him again. There's no doubt in my mind. Not confirmed, but there's no way they're going to set up a character like America Chavez and then not use her. Maybe the character that Daenerys Targaryen, I don't know the character's name from Secret Invasion, is more powerful. I don't know if they're going to keep her, though, because of how poorly the show was received. Not because of Samuel L. Jackson, because he is the literally freaking best, or any actors. It was just scattered, and it wasn't enough. And that's not usually the MCU. So I'm sure Marvel has taken note on how they handled Secret Invasion. But this movie is the closest, this along with Spider-Man, both being like the recent, like they're both in a row. It kind of puts a nucleus in this phase 4 to the multiverse. Between that and Loki and Spider-Man, there's like multiversal things happening. But this is a big page for Doctor Strange and for our universe as they're beginning to touch the multiverse. Like the Kang, who we'll never see again because he, no more Kang the Conqueror apparently. He says they're beginning to touch the multiverse, and that's Doctor Strange getting his third eye, and it looks painful, man. And the eye is so creepy. I got a desktop background right now. It's a Multiverse of Madness one. It's an interactive desktop, so it's like there's shards floating all over. It's really cool. And Doctor Strange has his third eye on it, and it's moving and stuff, and it's it's scary. And it's not really scary. It's kind of cool. We meet Thea, and I don't know much about her, except she has something to do with Dormammu in the Dark Dimension. And she shows up at the post-credit scene telling Doctor Strange that he caused an incursion, and she rips open space and time with her sword. I don't know how you don't cause an incursion like that, but that's how they go to the Dark Dimension, and Doctor Strange opens his third eye again and just flies in with her into another dimension, and we don't know if he's going to be around. Is he going to be off-world, similar to like Thor Ragnarok when Civil War is happening, and then he'll come back for like Secret Wars to help? I don't know. Will he die fighting Dormammu? Will he turn Dormammu into an instrument of like weapon, like for our side somehow? How would he get that? Is there one Dormammu? Or is there a million Dormammus? Is there one in every universe? So many questions need to be answered here. Not the last we'll see of Wanda. I mean, we're going to see a variant of her, if not this version, redeem herself. I'm almost certain, especially because of the fans. People love the Scarlet Witch. And, let's talk again a little bit about how it was criticized. In WandaVision, she kind of gets her powers, and she is about to go on this kind of like anti-hero journey. This movie was almost going to do that with her, but they saw the potential of Elizabeth Olsen. They wanted that kind of like emotional baggage that we've known this character for so long, and seeing her do these things. This is not said specifically by them, but like this is kind of like really hard for an audience member to watch her turn so bad, knowing her motivation from WandaVision, knowing why. Watching WandaVision gives you this feeling when watching this movie of like helplessness for her, because she's someone you care about, but she's doing the worst things. And it's like, how do you justify her? You don't. She's evil, and the Darkhold has taken her, Steven says at one point. I'd like to think it's like that moment in Avengers 1, where the Scepter is sitting in the room between all the Avengers, and the Avengers are all having this like uncharacteristic conversation where they're like all insulting each other. That's the Mind Stone at work. And that's what gave Wanda her powers, and that's what gave Vision his power. And I think there's a lot more Infinity Stone stuff coming up, even though that was the Infinity Saga. Every universe has Infinity Stones, and if there's going to be a secret war, you got to wonder if like they'll automatically be deleted at the door, or is each universe going to arrive with an Infinity Gauntlet and R616 arrives empty-handed because we're the ones who lost against Thanos? See, you can say that, but at the same time, what that happened with Thanos, at least the way it's told chronologically in the show, was meant to happen. It was meant to happen. They say it in Loki. Doctor Strange is going to have a third movie. I hope it's before. I really hope it's before, Doomsday. But if we see at the end of Doctor Strange, like the event leading into Doomsday, or Secret Wars, wherever he is, like he just gets dropped in. Like you think of Thor and Hulk having their first encounter with Thanos, like everyone's kind of separated, right? So the personal journey he's on, it depends what's happening in that movie in the dark dimension, and if he gets carried away, or I don't know, anything can happen. I would love Doctor Strange 3. Watching it this time, Doctor Strange 2, in the Multiverse of Madness, it really opened my eyes to how good of a movie it was. And I saw some guy post like a 6-hour video of why he hated this movie. And I watched like 2 hours of it. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. I'm like, dude, sit back. I don't mean to gaslight people. Like, but sit back and enjoy the show. I think like it's not like you're trying to tear this thing apart. Like, you can try to hate something, and a lot of people, without realizing, do that. They're going in and they're like going to hate watch it. Or you can go in and be like, this is my escape. I can't wait to see what happens here. That's my choice. So everyone has a choice. So Wanda is dead, apparently. Also, rumors now of her getting her own movie. By the time you're listening to this, we would have already talked about the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. I'm not sure I'm going to vote with that show. I wasn't a fan of them like making that decision to give her a show of anyone. But now knowing that she does have a part in the comics that I wasn't really that aware about, she shows up sometimes. So she's completely entitled to her new show. Catherine Hahn's just fantastic at the role. I'm excited to see some actors come back from Westview, and you already know this because you might have listened to that already, but this is where we are going to stop our after show for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the longest episode of Marvel Maniac yet. My Phase 4 review, or Avengers 1, probably closer to this. There's just so much to talk about. I feel like there's still things I could talk about. I don't want to overdo it. I just want to, it feels like a natural place. Like we're 2 friends sitting down right here, and we're having a moment in a conversation, and you're about to pick up like your coffee and like start to head out, and I'm like, but wait, let's go talk about the Illuminati a little bit more. And like, it's like, no, we're not doing that. We've had an hour and 20 minutes. We should have said all we had to about the Illuminati. Hope you guys like this episode. We have a tip jar in the link. It goes straight to Pinecast, which is my podcast provider. Anything and everything goes back into the show, keeping the lights on. Your donation is not necessary, only appreciated. We do have a Patreon, but don't subscribe yet. Once we have a little more demand, we'll get that up and going. I'm having so much fun talking about all this with you guys, so we'll get that going when we can. Like I said, my line's always open, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. I mean, if a million of you flood in there at once, I will still get to every message within an hour. I'm lying. Okay, this has been Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, proudly broadcasting Marvel Maniac and MCU after show to you. If you're out there in the multiverse or our universe, or you're just sitting in Utah watching the sunset or rise, and then just listen to this podcast and was like, I'm gonna go rate that, and I'm gonna give it 5 stars because I like Mr. Honest. I don't know. I can't make you guys do this, but it would mean a lot. And you don't have to do it if you don't really want to. Just keep listening to the podcast, and then one day you'll be like, all right, I'm going to do it. It would go a long way. More than a donation. But please do donate. Tom Cruise, if you're listening to this, the tip jar's open, my man. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next episode, whether that be with Agatha or with Thor Ragnarok or Black Panther. We got a lot to cover. I'm still figuring out who those guests can be for some of these episodes, or I'll just go it alone like I did today, and we got a lot of material out of that. I had every second I loved, and thanks for giving me your time, making me a part of your day. You have a wonderful rest of the day, or morning, or evening, or night. This has been Eric, and aka Mr. Honest. I said that already. That's the last time I say it. Until next time, Avengers, disassemble.